Hello, welcome to The Real Bit Wars. I'm Chris, and didn't you watch this video already? Let's check. Oh yeah, there it is. The Real Bit Wars Pickups, August 2020. I'm sorry for the confusion. But, since you're here, I did get a few more games. What do you say we check them out?
Wars.
So apart from the Super Nintendo and the NES, I'm also a completionist for the Intellivision. I do go for complete games with the box, manual, and overlay, but every now and then I'll find cheap, loose cartridges that I'll get as like placeholders until I can get complete ones. We have Defender, and then a very beat up but cheap copy of River Raid. An extremely good find here. This is like a holy grail item for some Intellivision collectors. Triple Challenge, complete in the box. So there's only 120 some games for the Intellivision total. The rarest one is without a doubt the Spikers volleyball game, but I've actually heard someone tell me when I got this that the only games he needed were the volleyball game and this one in order to complete his collection. So I'm not saying this is the second rarest Intellivision game, but it's definitely up there. So let's move along to the next thing. Andre Agassi Tennis. If you're not into sports games, tennis can actually be pretty fun. But with that being said, Andre Agassi Tennis isn't really your best option. I would definitely go for Super Tennis on the SNES. This one takes a little getting used to. The hit detection is very precise, but I actually do like the sprite animation on this. It looks kind of cool. Believe it or not, this is actually a rather uncommon game. You just don't see that many copies of it out there. It doesn't sell for a ton, but it can be really difficult to actually find it. It's what I like to refer to as cricket syndrome. Allow me to demonstrate. Hey, what game you got there? What, this? It's international cricket on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I've never even heard of that one. Yeah, it was a PAL exclusive. Honestly, it's one of the most scarce NES cartridges there is. You're kidding. It must be worth a fortune. Nah. Honestly, I just bought this copy to use it as a coaster. Alright, so let's move along to the rest of the pickups. So, we got Radical Rex on the Super Nintendo. And there we have it. Less than 100 to go. Back in the late 90s, when I would be hanging out with my friends, we'd be playing the Nintendo 64 or the original PlayStation, and I would say things like, hey, you know, these games are really cool, but don't you sort of think those old 16-bit ones were better? And I would tell people things like, I intend to someday collect every Super Nintendo game because it's my favorite console. And people thought I was nuts. I have to say, I still feel that way. I think the 16-bit games are better than what came after. And that idea eventually turned into a collecting obsession. And as many of you can probably relate to, over the years, it's snowballed. Next thing you know, I was collecting NES games also, and then Genesis, and so on. And so over 20 years later, I'm now finally within 100 of completing the Super Nintendo collection, which is still a long way to go, but I'm really excited for that. And the game feels very appropriate. It's an Activision game, and it's part of that mascot craze. And with that being said, it's terrible. It's an awful game, but it's an extremely welcome addition to my collection. This thing just screams 90s to me. All right, enough of that gooey show of emotion. So with that being said, as I was looking through my list of the Super Nintendo games I was missing, I realized there was one I have had for quite a while, and I forgot to cross it off the list. So we've got World Soccer 94 Road to Glory. And let's take a moment to thank the people of All Star Video for writing the name in big pink letters on the cartridge. I appreciate it. Honestly, I like leaving that sort of stuff there. It's kind of a little footnote for the history of the game, I guess. Okay, we have another Super Nintendo game now. Battle Grand Prix, or as I might have called it when I was a kid, Battle Grand Prix. Yeah, so this is kind of a cool little top-down racing game. The execution isn't necessarily that great, but it's definitely a style of game I really enjoy. Racing games in general are just something that I like. It's pretty cool, and it's a Hudson Soft game, so hey, why not? And next I got an NES game. Bring that number out here. All right. Yeah, Castle Quest. I gotta admit, I haven't actually played this one yet. So I don't have anything to say about it other than look at that label. Is that not awesome or what? So in other news, you might have noticed earlier the can of beer. I got this 4-pack, which is obviously inspired by the old NES black box art. It is a coffee IPA, which I had never heard of, but I was definitely intrigued. It's pretty delicious. It's like your typical dry IPA, but the aroma has like a nice aura of roasted coffee. Another thing before we leave here, there is a Netflix documentary series on retro video games called High Score that I actually watched the other day. It's gotten mixed reviews so far, but I definitely recommend checking this out. One thing I enjoyed is they put some emphasis on things you might not expect. There was an episode on RPGs that really went into detail about the Ultima series. There was also an episode dedicated more so to Nintendo. There was a Sega episode, and there's pretty much all sorts of stuff from various different eras, from the origins up to more modern days. Things such as, video game tournaments and competitions that are held. In a nutshell, definitely I would recommend watching it. It may not be the greatest documentary you ever watch, but the subject matter is definitely something that will intrigue you. So, with that being said, thank you for watching The Real Bit Wars, and tune in next time, because I'm still trying to pick up some more games, and let's do this again.
What, this?